What's up, agents? How's everybody doing? I hope everybody is staying safe during this real-world pandemic. Hopefully we won't get to a real-world Directive 51. In Title Update 8.4, this build is actually much easier to spec into than back during Title Update 5. So the big caveat for this build comes down to the fact that in Title Update 8, we're limited to 2 talents. You get a talent on the chest piece, a talent on the backpack. So that ends up being the wild card in the build. So I'll go through a lot of the basics. We'll go through the gear. I'll go through the weapons, gear sets, and then at the end, I'll go through the different talent options and display those in the firing range, just so you guys can see what the different selections can do, and you can figure out what will work best for your play style. So first, we'll start with the specializations. So I am going with the Technician. For the +1 skill tier, this allows me to run 1-piece armor as the main stat, which increases my survivability quite a bit. And for the Faraday field, so if I or any of my teammates is within 5 meters of the turret, they will be immune to shock and disrupt. Next, we'll go ahead and get into the equipment. For a weapon, you can use whichever primary weapon that you want. I would recommend the perk of Spike. Headshots grant plus 20% skill damage for 8 seconds. I prefer it on an automatic weapon so I can spray and pray, get one of the bullets to get a headshot and duck back into cover and have the spike active. However, any of you guys who like rifles, you can get more yardage out of the Surge high-end rifle. It's the named rifle with perfect spike, and it will give 25% skill damage instead of 20. In the secondary slot, I highly recommend the Send-Off craftable named shotgun. This comes with 2 perfect talents, perfect distance for 100% additional optimal range, and more specifically for the perfectly rooted, once every minute for 15 seconds while in cover, all skill damage and healing is increased by 30% for 15 seconds. For the offhand, I recommend any sawed-off shotgun and the preservation perk for the killing an enemy to get armor back. So moving on to the gear pieces, one of the first things you guys will notice is I'm not using a gear set. Now, of course, you could do that if you wanted to. You could use a hardwire, an ongoing directive, but I wanted to do something that was going to be a lot easier to gear up for, particularly a hardwire since you need to do some farming for it. This was an easier setup. Now, I don't have the perfect pieces of gear, but if I did, this is how my brand set layout would look. First of all, you want 1 piece of Wyvernware. That's for the plus 10% skill damage. And the reason I would prefer it in the mask slot is it's one of the ways that I can get skill tier, skill haste, skill damage, and a utility mod slot. Second, I would want a chest piece to be Miah-Pinion. Now, ideally, this chest piece would roll skill haste, skill damage. It has a utility slot, and it would roll with glass cannon. In fact, next, as far as the brand sets, you're going to want 2 pieces of hana-u Corporation. The 1 piece gives plus 10% skill haste, and the second piece gives the plus 10% skill damage. The easiest place I find to slot these would be in the holster and the knee pad slot. I'm going to go with the percussive maintenance named backpack for the perfect tech support. The 1 piece gives us plus 15% skill repair, and then the second Alp Summit piece, this is another craftable piece from your bench. The brand set gives us plus 20% skill duration for the 2 piece, and it gives plus 20% skill health. So this piece right here gives a lot of bonus oomph to our skill health, as well as adding that plus 20% duration. Ultimately, this is what in my opinion, the perfect god roll piece would look like, with the one exception being if the knee pads rolled perfectly stock, you do something like I did here with the Golan. And what you could do is these Hanas had actually rolled with skill damage and skill haste on them in a decent roll. You could re-roll the +1 skill tier into 170,000 armor, which would add to your toughness. So that's just if you happen to get lucky and get a perfect roll. So something to keep in mind. And lastly, before I move on from the gear, keep in mind every one of these pieces where I have skill repair, that would be skill haste in the perfect setup. I have skill repair because I use some of these for my combat medic as well. So I have to have healing and damage both. So that's why you see a lot of these pieces that have skill repair on them as well. But you notice each mod slot, this is 11.5 skill haste, 11.2 skill haste, and 10.9 skill haste. So I'm going to quickly go over a few talents that I will not be covering in more detail. Spotter, weapon and skill damage is amplified by 15% to pulse enemies. Since we're running Technician and you can run the Technician laser sight, that would of course make any enemies that you aim at would be pulse and thus take more damage from your skills. It's cool. It's 50% bonus. But there's better, easier alternatives to getting a damage bonus against your targets. Explosive delivery could be applied to this, as your turret, when thrown, can proc this. Thing about explosive delivery, it's just too circumstantial. And since we are not running hardwire or skilled to get instant reproc, and since this is not a skill that you can pick up like the Hive and just throw again, so you get explosive delivery over and over again, it's really not that beneficial to this build. Lastly, for the chest of the skills we will not cover will be tamper-proof. Enemies walking within 3 meters of the turret will be shocked. There's just not much utility to that. And as far as backpack talents that you could use, but I don't find very beneficial to this build, calculated kills from cover reduce skill cooldowns by 10%. Since most of the time both skills are out and active at the same time, this just isn't very beneficial. Overclock. Allies within 7 meters of the deployed skill, thus the turret, gain 25% reload speed and reduce active cooldowns by 0.2 of a second each second. Again, doesn't do anything to add to the skill damage, and it's such a small buff that it's not worth running. An interesting one to check out is Opportunistic. Enemies you hit with shotguns and marksman rifles amplifies the damage they take by 10% from all sources for 5 seconds. This could be a pretty cool talent if they increased the buff time from 5 seconds to maybe 10 seconds. I could see that, but as in the state right now, it's not worth mentioning. Alright, so that means it is time to get into the talents we will be using. Alright, so before we get started with testing everything, we're going to need to get a baseline. So in order to do that, I went ahead and I'm going to take a 0 Fs. This won't give us anything. This does have max skill damage in the attributes of plus 10% skill damage, but it doesn't have anything else to add to actual damage. So let's get a baseline. You'll notice our striker drone has a base damage of 72,903 without any buffs other than the gear buffs and innate buffs that are from the technician. The turret has a base damage of 116,874. Alright, so now that we have the baseline, let's go ahead and talk about the different options that we have for the chest. Alright, so we're going to use a combined arms. I won't be shooting anything, so there won't be any damage buff from that, with a 9.2% skill damage. So that gives us 72,605 and 16,397. So we should expect to see 16,000. Oh, there goes rooted. Once you guys have noticed, once Perfectly Rooted is out, we should drop back down to 16,000. There we go. There's our 16,000. All right. And drone. There's our 72,000. Just like we'd expect to see. Bam. All right. So first on the list, let's check out Intimidate. When you have bonus armor, amplifies total weapon damage by 35%. You guys know 66,800 damage and 107,000. So you notice the 66, 8. And watch what happens as soon as Bloodsucker procs. You should see a jump if it works. 66,000. It's proc, but nope. Next, we're going to try Overwatch. With this, we got a 65,400 and 104,000. So, 65,000. Now it's full. Now we're up to 73,314. Alright, you guys notice there's 100. There's the 104,000. And then as soon as that fills up, bam, 117. So this is a 12% damage bonus. And you guys notice if I get off, but I get back on real quick, notice it doesn't go away. So you can actually move. Alright, so I had to go damage myself a little bit to check out this next one. The next one we're going to be talking about is Kinetic Momentum. When in combat, each skill generates a stack while active or not on cooldown. Stacks increase your total skill damage by 1% and total skill repair by 2%, up to 15 stacks per skill lost when on cooldown. So this will give up to a 15% bonus per skill. So a little bit more than Overwatch, and it just takes a little bit of time to stack up. It takes about 10 seconds to stack up all the way. Oh, here we come. In order to get him to proc here, just to give a little bit of damage to myself. Alright, there we go. You guys see that now? There, we got it. You see the damage just keeps going up. Lastly, for the chest piece, we're going to try the glass cannon. This reads, all damage you deal is amplified by 25%. All damage you take is amplified by 50%. Now, in other build videos where I use this, people have asked why I use glass cannon, and I simply note, read the description. All damage you deal is amplified by 25%. This skill will buff anything by a raw 25% multiplier. The downside is any bit of incoming damage is amplified by 50%. So I have to play very careful, but I can use this very effectively. Let's take a look. You'll notice that our damage has actually gone down a little bit from the 72,000 that we were at max as the base damage. And we're at only 108,000 instead of 116,000. But once we come out here, we'll start with the drone. This is raw. No perks procced. This is just raw damage. Now that we've gone over the chest talents, it's time to go over the backpack talents. Before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and put back on the 0 Fs so that we will not have any of our results skewed by the any damage bonuses from talents on the chest piece. The first backpack to consider would be the Force Multiplier by the hana-u Corporation. This will give you the perfect combined arms. Shooting an enemy increases total skill damage by 30% for 3 seconds. Of all the damage perks for the backpack, this is actually the largest bonus of 30%. The downside of this is that it is only for 3 seconds, so you constantly have to be shooting at things in order to proc this damage. Since we're running a skill build, that means we're running quite low in the realm of armor and overall toughness. So this, very similar to the glass cannon, is a high risk, high reward build, and I do not recommend running this in conjunction with Glass Cannon. However, if you wanted to run this with, say, 0F's Perfectly Unbreakable, that on the other hand would be a good combination if you want to run and gun. So, just to show you what those damage numbers look like, with this equip, so we're back up to the top, 72 and 116. So we got a striker of their own that will do, unbuffed. And now, that jumps up, look at this. Jumps up to 94,000 just like that. Our turret, which has a base of 116,000. $151,000, just like that. So luckily it does refresh. So see, that is a huge damage bonus. However, you do have to constantly be firing. Now the second viable option for the backpack increases survivability quite a bit, and that is the Bloodsucker. Killing an enemy adds and refreshes a stack of plus 10% bonus armor for 10 seconds. Max stack is 10, so this can give you up to 100% bonus armor. Now this is great for running and gunning, and actually this can work very well in conjunction with Overwatch. After staying in cover for 10 seconds, increases you and your allies' total weapon damage and skill damage. So what you can do is let your skills actually start killing some stuff while you stay in cover. Your damage increases, your skills are killing things, it buffs your armor, and then you can do a cover-to-cover move, and even while you're getting shot in your cover-to-cover move, you stay in Overwatch. It takes away from the bonus armor, not your real armor, and it maintains the weapons doing that bonus damage, which can thus get another kill to give you more bonus armor again. So the combination of Overwatch and Bloodsucker can actually be a very powerful combination as far as utility and survivability.
Let's check this out. Just watch the armor. Here's the first one. A little spike there.
You guys notice with just a little bit of help from me, watch how fast we can stack this. You see, with even the skill build can get a little bit of toughness there. As far as the most viable backpack for this build, I find it to be the Alp Summit Percussive Maintenance Backpack. The 1 piece will give you the repair skills, 2 piece the skill duration. You want skill damage and skill haste on this if possible. But the main reason we want is for the talent. Perfect tech support. Skill kills increase total skill damage by 25% for 27 seconds. Now, while combined arms is better at 30%, it is only for 3 seconds versus a kill from a skill which is 27 seconds, which is plenty of time to get another kill with the skill to refresh this. So, in my opinion, the superior perk. All right, so now that being said, let's talk about the 3 viable combinations. So one combination would be to run the 0S for Perfectly Unbreakable, or any combination of Unbreakable, and then the Force Multiplier for the Perfect Combined Arms. This allows you to be constantly shooting enemies to keep that skill damage up at maximum, and have the bonus armor of the Perfectly Unbreakable to keep you alive. I find that to be the least viable version, but that is a viable combination. Next would be the combination of Overwatch, staying in cover or in a cover-to-cover move, increases skill damage by 12%. Combined with Bloodsucker, killing an enemy adds and refreshes stacks of 10% bonus armor, stacking up to 10 for a 100% bonus. So this allows you to get your skill damage up. Your skills get kills. This gives you bonus armor. You do a cover-to-cover move, and any damage you take during the cover-cover move is negated by the bonus armor that you get. This is a great survivability build and will add a lot to your character if you're just trying to survive in some of the harder content. And what I find to be the best build of all of them is the combination of glass cannon combined with percussive maintenance for the overall largest damage bonus and the easiest of all the damage bonuses to maintain. And lastly, I will show you what this build can do. Notice my version is actually not even close to the best version I showed you as far as brand sets. I mean, I'm using 2-piece Wyvern. I'm using 2-piece Hanas. I'm using the 1 Alps. And then I'm using a Golden Gear. And the reason why I'm doing this is because the Golden Gear I can get away with, since we're running Technician, we get +1 skill tier. I can run the 170,000 armor that came on this. It came with 12% skill haste, so I rolled the skill damage onto it. The gear set piece doesn't really do anything for me. However, that 170,000 armor is a big bonus to survivability, and this allows me to run glass cannon with a little more flexibility. Anyway, let's take a look at these quick damage numbers, and then I'll try to get into some actual gameplay. All right. Do you need some help down there? Good. I like it. Let's do this. First, let's take out that shield dude, because he thinks he's fucking cooler than everybody else.
He was a bully in high school.
Yeah. Dude, it's amazing. My controller is so busted, it cannot hold straight. Like, it's one of the downsides of making this video. It's like, I think people are going to get sick. Alright, dude. You should have taken down the drone before the turret. He's not taking down the drone. That's stupid. Really, really stupid of him. Alright, dude, you can go ham as soon as you want to. What's up? Okay. We got everybody aiming down there now. Yep. Oh, wait, here. Here's what I'm going to do. Before you do that, let me get up here. I'm going to drop this right there. Alright, whenever you're ready. There we go. sir. Appreciate that. Come on, dude. Alright, let's see. I'm going to blow up the turret first. I gotta wait. I just don't want to have both my skills down at the same time. Oh, here we go. Alright, they're here. Alright, I gotta get over to you because the exploder's gonna be coming upstairs. We got somebody coming up the stairs right now. That did not work out for him very well. Oh, Owl's coming up. That's not gonna work out very good either. Because watch what happens right when he comes out the door. Come on, dude. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, didn't work out well at all. You gotta love the fact that we're evaporating heroic bosses that fast, right? Oh, look at this dude up here. Can you make it? Oh, you good? Okay, cool. Alright, I gotta get over there to put my turret back on the right spot. Yeah, it's gonna happen. I'm taking out the burn dude right now, though. Because I don't like it. I don't like it very much at all. Doing okay over there? Alright. Alright, I gotta blow up the turret now because I think that's the last dude, so I want to get a new turret in place because I think we're gonna have to jump down after this, right? Oh no! That might have been too fast. Okay. Hopefully, 3, 2, okay, I think I can do it. There we go. Okay, come on, you get over. There we go. I'm good. I'm good. Alright, you're going to be there. I'm going to come over here. Cool. There goes the boss. One of the bosses. You okay up there with that dude? I'm trying to deal with everybody else. But, alright. Let's deal with this guy. Let's deal with him. Bitch. Yeah, yeah. Oh, dude, look, it's one of our favorite dudes, too. And look, he just took out my drone. Sure as shit. And now he's on my turret. Like, wow. He tried really hard, dude. I'll give him props. Uh-oh. Bam. Well, agents, thanks a lot for checking out this video. Frankly, I was a bit surprised revisiting the Striker Assault Drone build. I didn't think that it would really be as viable as before, even in the heroic content, running it solo, which I pretty much always did. The enemies would just take the drone and the turret down super fast. And since I have not run Legendary yet, solo, I imagine that would be the same situation. However, I was very surprised, at how efficient the build works when in a group in Heroic, as well as how many different combinations there are. The coolest thing I think about this build is that just in this video I provided 3 different combinations of talents that I think really change the play style of this. And there's a lot of other talents that I don't think are the greatest of talents, but still leaves a lot of build diversity. So I'll probably play with it a bit just to see what all utility I can get out of this build. I, of course, was going for a maximum damage build, and then I did kind of the survivability build, and then the one hybrid. But you know, there's a lot more that I think can be done with that if you get away from just trying to do max damage. So stay tuned. I'm going to hopefully delve into that a little bit further in the future. I hope everybody's staying safe. Please hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you, agents, in the Dark Zone.